G'day everyone, one of my favourite Baitcaster fishing reels is due for some new line. So in this video I'm going to show you how to change the line on a Baitcaster reel. Jeez, that was a big fish. Now first of all, because I know a few people will be interested in this, let me explain what I've got in my hand. This is a Shimano Rex Hunt Black Label Deluxe Baitcaster rod. It's even got Rex's autograph on the bottom. You can't get these anymore. I bought this in Kmart in Wangaratta for about, I can't remember what it cost, but it was about 1994. So 30 years ago. I've had this rod a very long time, and it's a fantastic rod. It's a Shimano Rex Hunt Black Label rod, but you can get these reels. It's a Daiwa Fugo CT100HL. Daiwa Fugo CT100HL and a 6:3 gear ratio. Right. Now, the line that's on it is Piscafun Lunker braid. I think it's 14 pound. I'm going to take that off and I'm going to replace it with this Team Daiwa J braid. And this is 15 pound J braid. I use 50 pound J braid on my cod rods and I really like it. So I'm going to give myself a bit of slack. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to lean my rod up on the back of my car here. I'm going to get my trusty O knife and I'm going to cut the line clip off. I've got a line clip on there. I'm going to take that off. Now I've got to pull the old line off. There's two ways to do this. I can really lighten the casting brake and pull it off if someone's holding it, or I can just push the button down to disengage the reel and then pull the line off the spool. So I'm going to lean my rod, you can't see it, it's on the back of my car, and I'm just going to slowly pull the line off like this. I don't want to go too fast. With a spinning reel, or an egg beater reel as some people call them, if you go too fast, you can go as fast as you like, but with a Baitcaster reel, if you go too fast, you'll get a backlash. So just slow and steady, stripping all the old line off. Now I could probably stop now. I've probably taken 20 or 30 metres of line off, and this bit of line here probably hasn't seen much use. But the thing is, I'm almost at the very end. Right, here we go. There's the, I nearly was at the very end. There's the end there. Now, this is the very important part. What you'll see here is a knot. And that's because, oh, that's still braided line. Ah, I know what I've done. Right, I'm just doing this as I go. What I've done, and I'll show you now, I'll cut that. There's the old line. It's very, very important that you take that home because birds and stuff will tangle up in that and will eventually kill them. Now, what I'm going to show you now is very important, and this is why I got a little bit confused. If you put braided line on a Baitcaster reel, it's very, very important that you anchor the line to the spool. This bit in the middle here, that's called the spool. Now, if you don't anchor the line to it, if you just tie it to it, and then you'll fill your reel up, what will happen, the line won't grip the spool, it won't grip it. So you'll be turning and nothing will be happening. It's like you've got your drag really tight. That's because you're turning the spool inside the line. Now there's 2 or 3 ways you can do it. To anchor the line to the spool, you can use a little bit of tape. I don't recommend that, but some people put a bit of masking tape or something on there just to get started. I don't trust that. You can tie monofilament line or nylon line on the bottom and just have a couple of meters of nylon line. Then you can tie that nylon line to the braided line, and that's where I got a bit confused because I was going to say this was nylon. I thought I'd tied nylon to it, but I hadn't. The other way you can do it, if the spool is fluted, or in other words, if it's got holes in it like that to make the spool a bit lighter, you can poke the line through the spool and you can tie the line to the spool that way. Rather than tying it around the spool, you're tying it through the spool, through the holes. That can't slip. It's foolproof. That makes it anchored, and that's what I've done here. Now that's a very, that can be quite a fiddly process to do that, and that's why I've left a couple of meters of line on there. That's why I saw that knot there a minute ago. I thought I was tying my new braided line. I thought that was the end of my braid and the start of some monofilament that I had on as an anchor, but it wasn't. It was the start of this. I've left this on there last time as an anchor because it's a bit fiddly. So you do it once, then the next time you just leave a couple of meters of line on there when you change your line. Right, so that's the most important part. Make sure you got your braided line anchored. It doesn't matter with monofilament line, but it does with braided line. Now I'm going to get my new Daiwa J braid. This is my favourite yellow belly and redfin rod, this one. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw this on the ground like that, I get to the end of the line. Take me to the end of the line. Right, there's the end of the line. This doesn't have to be a fancy knot. It doesn't have to be an improved Albright knot or an FG knot or an NFG knot. It doesn't matter what sort of knot it is, as long as you've got some kind of a knot tying the two bits of line together, because, there we go, I've just done just a couple of hitches. As my dad calls it, a half-hitched lard head knot. This line won't see any tension. The purpose of this line is that it's attached my new line to the anchor at the bottom, the little bit of line that I've got tied to the spool. And that's it, that's the only purpose. If that line pulls tight, if I've got that little line on my reel that I get down to that, then that's my own fault and I deserve to lose a fish. Right, now, I clamp the line through my finger, between my index finger and my thumb. Before I start, there's one thing I didn't mention. If you haven't, I've already got an anchor. I call that last little bit of line that I've got there the anchor. If you haven't got the anchor on there, if you're threading it for the first time, make sure you go through the hole. That's called a level wind. You must go through the level wind before you tie it to the spool, or it won't work. If you tie it to the spool and you haven't gone through the level wind, it'll never work. You must go through the level wind before you tie your anchor to the spool. I should have mentioned that earlier. Anyway, we're almost done. All I've got to do now is put the line on the reel. So I'm going to pinch the line between my thumb and my index finger. I'm going to sit the butt of my rod here up against my 6-pack. I'm just going to squeeze a bit of tension on it, not too much tension. If I put too much tension, I risk burning my finger, believe it or not. The friction from the line can cause a burn. And I just let the reel do its thing. The spool of line is just rolling around there on the ground now. As long as it's controlled between there and here, that's the main thing. Wow. I have just put that entire spool on. I've just put 150 metres of 15-pound braid on there, and look at that, it fits perfectly. You don't want it over full, otherwise it makes it too hard to put tension on it when you're casting, but you don't want too little because you don't want to get down to that backing or that anchor. Now this is Daiwa J-braid and it's multicoloured. I didn't buy it because it's multicoloured, I just bought it because I use Daiwa J-braid on my cod rods and I like it, plain and simple. Alright, there's my line clip. Now I'm going to attach my line clip. Now some people might like to use a leader. A leader is a very good idea. I personally prefer not to. I'm not going to enter into any debate in the comments below as to whether you should use a leader or not. What I am going to do is step back from the rod a little bit just to pull this rod tight, and I'll show you what knot I'm using. It's like a blood knot, but I fold it in half. With nylon line you can just use a single strand, but with braided line it's always good to fold it in half and have it doubled. Poke it through the eye of the line clip like that. Like so, you probably can't see that. Now I just wrap that around 2 or 3 times. I'll pull the line tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll go 5. 5 times, pull it back through the loop and then wrap it around and pull it back through again. That's just a basic blood knot, and that's not a very good example of how to do one. Now, put the tag in between my teeth while I pull on the line, pull it tight. There's my line clip on, and now I'll just get my knife and cut the tags off. I said tags because I folded the line over. There's 2 tags. And there we have it, ready for my next Lake Nillakuti yellow belly adventure. The weather's warming up and Lake Nillakuti should start firing soon. There should be a few yellow belly on the move. This is the rod that I use for trolling for yellow belly and for redfin and for bobbing lipless crankbaits and stuff up and down. It's not my cod rod, it's a bit too light for that, but it's a great little rod and reel combo for yellow belly and redfin fishing. And that's it, folks. I hope I've been able to explain in simple terms how to change the line over on a baitcaster reel. If you've got any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I do my very best to keep up with all of my YouTube comments. Sometimes they slip through the net, but I do the best I can to keep up. So feel free to drop a comment below and I'll answer that for you. Thank you all very much for watching.